I never imagined that an ancient microphone in the recording booth could capture the thoughts I'd kept buried deep inside. I'm Talia Renfro, pushing 29, making my way as a music producer in the vibrant streets of Austin, Texas, where melodies float through the air alongside the gentle buzz of neon-lit signs. My days revolve around mixing consoles, fine-tuning tracks for up-and-coming bands chasing their dreams on 6th Street. It's a world of midnight sessions and coffee ring notebooks, one I've crafted alongside Jasper Hale, my partner of 4 years. At 31, he's found his calling as a high school music teacher with an undeniable talent for acoustic melodies and a smile that once made my heart flutter. Once. These days, that flutter has morphed into something different, an unsettling restlessness, like a melody trapped in an endless loop with no resolution in sight. Jasper's predictable, almost too predictable. Each evening brings him home, clutching lesson plans and his faithful thermos of chamomile tea, while I'm lost in a maze of sound waves and looming deadlines. The love is there, absolutely, but there's this raw craving inside me, pulling me towards something more intense, more untamed. Enter Soren Cade. He's 34, a sound engineer whose rough-edged laugh seems to invite mischief. Since our paths crossed at a gritty bar show last spring, he's been feeding my ears with tantalizing tales. Stories of midnight rendezvous, anonymous encounters in cheap motels, evenings that dissolve into daybreak. His voice grows husky when he moves closer, reeking of bourbon and possibility, whispering, "Talia, you're suffocating in that safe little world. Just one taste, and you'll understand." Recently, he found me in the studio, headphones loose around my neck, eyes unfocused after a marathon mixing session. Sliding a cold beer my way, he flashed a dangerous smile. "I know these two guys," he said. "Wandering musicians who'll make everything else fade away. No complications, just pure sensation for one night." Initially, I brushed it off, but his suggestion lingered, pulsing like an addictive rhythm. While Jasper sat, grading assignments, completely unaware, I found myself staring at my phone, pulse racing. A single message to Soren changed everything. "Count me in," I wrote, pressing send before doubt could creep in. Now, I'm lingering outside a weathered Airbnb on Austin's outskirts, mere steps from Lady Bird Lake, where the structure groans with age and the atmosphere carries hints of pine needles and untold stories. My hands are clammy, boots grinding against loose gravel as I input the security code. The lock releases with a click that pierces the quiet like a thunderclap, and I make my way inside. The space is shadowy, illuminated only by an unsteady lamp in one corner, casting shifting patterns across the wooden floors. Beyond the windows, moonlight dances on the lake's surface, while the muffled pulse of bass music drifts across the water from a distant venue. My duffel lands heavily on the floor as I check my phone's display. 10 minutes remain before their arrival. 10 minutes before I take the plunge I've been contemplating for weeks. I fabricated a story for Jasper about spending the night in the studio, supposedly working with a non-existent band. He planted a kiss on my cheek, murmured, "Take care of yourself, babe," and returned to his musical notations. After 4 years of marriage, his faith in me remains as pure as when we first met. Guilt twists in my gut like a knife, but it's not powerful enough to deter me. Soren's words echo louder now, drowning out my conscience. "They're exactly what you need," he mentioned during yesterday's smoke break. Reeve and Calder, wild and weathered, the type who'll leave an indelible mark. I can feel my heartbeat thundering, my leather jacket constricting, my denim worn at the knees. This version of me feels foreign, nothing like the Talia who spends her days mixing folk songs and curling up with Jasper on our well-worn sofa. Or perhaps this is who I've always been, just too fearful to acknowledge it. The oppressive quiet bears down until it's interrupted by engine noise outside. Motorcycles, probably two, approaching the property. My breathing turns rapid and shallow as I run trembling fingers through my hair. They've arrived ahead of schedule. I edge toward the window, peering through the slats, and spot their forms outlined against the street lamp. One stands tall and muscular, helmet tucked under one arm, while his companion, leaner in build, ignites a lighter. My throat constricts, and though doubt floods my mind, my feet carry me doorward anyway. The metal handle feels icy beneath my palm, and as I turn it, a shiver courses through me, as if the very air holds some hidden warning. Before I delve deeper into this heart-pounding journey, I need to pause for a moment. I'm curious, where are you following this story from? Share your location in the comments below. I'd be thrilled to know who's joining me on this intense ride. If you're already captivated by this tale, don't forget to hit subscribe to stay connected. Your support means everything in keeping this narrative alive. Now, let's amplify this moment and see where the night leads, because once that threshold is crossed, there's no possibility of retreat. The door yields with a groan, and the night air surges in, heavy with the scent of motor oil and worn leather. Reeve enters first, his frame dominating the doorway, all muscled with and a grin that slices through the shadows like a switchblade. Calder follows behind, more wiry, more reserved, absently flicking his lighter, the small flame wavering before he clicks it closed. My pulse hammers wildly, an untamed rhythm I can't control, and I step backward, allowing them entry. Reeve's footfalls echo on the floorboards, purposeful, while Calder's gaze roams the space, finally settling on me with an intensity that feels like a challenge. "You must be Talia," Reeve states, his voice coarse and deep, like crushed stones beneath motorcycle wheels. I manage a nod, my mouth suddenly desert dry, and he laughs, the sound reverberating through my core. They move with purpose. Calder shrugs off his jacket, draping it over the sofa, revealing intricate tattoos snaking up his arms, sharp designs that vanish beneath his shirt sleeves. Reeve stalks around me, measured, predatory, his breath warm against my skin as he leans in close. "Soren mentioned you're searching for something electric," he whispers, and I feel his presence, the gravity of his words drawing me in. My fingers flex anxiously, then relax, and I'm trapped, suspended between flight instinct and the magnetism of something more dangerous, something I've been pursuing since Soren first planted the idea. Calder approaches, his fingertips brushing my pulse point, and suddenly everything shifts. The space contracts, the pine aroma intensifies, and I'm submerged in their presence, their touch, their warmth, a force I can't resist. Everything accelerates, too quickly. Reeve's hand traces up my spine with commanding pressure, while Calder's mouth hovers by my ear, his ragged breathing synchronizing with my own. The room's lamp wavers, creating dancing shadows on the walls, blurring the boundaries between our bodies. My discarded jacket lies forgotten on the ground, my nerves electrified wherever they touch. There's nothing tender about this moment. It's primal and intense, like music blasting at maximum volume without restraint. I'm lost in the sensation when a piercing sound breaks through my daze. My phone vibrates against the counter, a forgotten connection to reality. I stiffen, caught between Calder's grip on my hip and Reeve's tightening hold as I attempt to move. "Leave it," Calder commands tersely, but I'm already stumbling toward the sound, my heartbeat thundering in my ears. Jasper's name illuminates the screen, and dread coils in my stomach like ice. I answer shakily, and his voice comes through strained with fear. "Talia, I fell down the school stairs," he gasps, struggling to speak. "I'm in the emergency room, my leg's injured. Please come, right now." My breath catches as Reeve's gaze sears into my back. "I'm coming," I reply, my voice barely holding together. The call ends, and silence descends like a weight. Calder ignites his lighter once more, a lone flame in the darkness, while Reeve stands with crossed arms, his earlier playfulness replaced by frost. "Family emergency," I mumble, gathering my jacket and keys, seeking something solid. "Have to leave." They remain motionless, wordless, observing as I stumble clumsily toward the exit. My boots snag on the carpet's edge, nearly sending me sprawling, the overwhelming scent of pine following me like an unwanted tattoo. Stealing one last look, I catch Calder's silhouette against the window pane, his head cocked, as if listening to something beyond my perception. Reeves' gaze narrows suspiciously, and for a fleeting moment, I'm certain he sees through me, peeling away layers I'd meant to keep hidden. The door crashes shut behind me, lock engaging with finality, leaving me alone on the gravel drive, night air stinging my heated face. My vehicle sits askew, beams cutting through darkness, and I slip inside, trembling fingers finding the ignition. The motor roars awake, but another sound catches my attention, a subtle vibration I can't identify, drifting from the rental's partially open window. Music, perhaps? Or voices? It vanishes before I can identify it, consumed by my tires screech as I flee. I accelerate down the deserted stretch, the lake's obsidian surface blurring alongside me, thoughts racing faster than the speedometer climbing beyond 70. Jasper lies injured, waiting, while I'm here, saturated with pine and unfamiliar scents, my deception unraveling with each passing mile. Reeve and Calder recede into darkness behind me, but that mysterious hum persists, an unsettling thread I can't dismiss. What sounds reach their ears? What signals did I miss? The endless highway stretches mercilessly ahead as I clutch the steering wheel, knowing I've ignited something impossible to extinguish. The road dissolves into a streak of pavement and artificial light as I push past 80, the engine's protest drowning out that persistent hum still echoing in my mind. Austin's skyline approaches, its jagged outline stark against the darkening horizon, but my thoughts fixate on Jasper, collapsed in some cold hospital room, awaiting my arrival. My palms slide against the wheel, damp with anxiety, my leather jacket crumpled accusingly in the passenger seat. The pine aroma clings stubbornly, mixing with an unfamiliar musk from Reeve and Calder that I can't escape. Jasper's keen sense will detect it instantly, just as he always does, like that time he identified the new lavender candle before I'd even broken its seal. I swerve off I-35, my tires shrieking against asphalt as I veer onto a side street, constantly checking my rearview mirror. The darkness behind me remains empty of pursuing headlights, but that mysterious vibration from the Airbnb haunts me like an embedded thorn. My mind races. Was it some hidden device? A radio signal? Images flash of Reeves' subtle movements, Calder's oddly angled head, perhaps catching frequencies I'd overlooked. Forcing these thoughts aside, I focus on the dashboard's luminous green digits. The lake house to our East Austin duplex typically takes 15 minutes, maybe 20 if Jasper's limping home from the emergency room in his weathered Corolla. Time is precious, and I'm running dangerously short. The car lurches into our driveway, gravel crunching beneath the wheels, and I leap out before it fully settles, the cooling engine clicking behind me. I stagger toward a massive dumpster lurking behind a nearby gas station, 2 blocks away, and thrust my jacket inside, its metal zipper clanging ominously against the container. My sweat-drenched black t-shirt follows, buried deep beneath a mountain of discarded fast food containers. I dash back home barefooted, sharp stones biting into my feet, and burst through our entrance. Our cluttered living room confronts me, scattered vinyl records, mismatched vintage lamps, and Jasper's guitar standing sentinel in its corner. Time slips away with each passing second. I race to the bedroom, yanking drawers open frantically, and pull on a worn tank top and loose sweatpants, my typical post-studio attire. My hair, still damp from the stifling Airbnb, gets twisted into a tight bun. In the bathroom, I dig beneath the sink, retrieving the strawberry body spray Jasper's sister gifted me last Christmas. I drench myself, wrists, neck, torso, until the pine scent surrenders to sickly sweetness, but it's not sufficient. I seize his cedarwood soap, scrubbing my arms raw, watching evidence of my evening's spiral down the drain. The mirror reflects a stranger, wild-eyed, cheeks blazing with untamed energy, barely recognizable as myself. A car horn pierces the silence, sharp and sudden, making my heart leap into my throat. I rush to the window, peeking through the blinds, to see Jasper's battered Corolla pulling up its front bumper bearing fresh scrapes from some unknown mishap. He's arrived sooner than expected, emerging unsteadily with a crutch supporting his weight, his complexion ashen beneath the porch light's glow. Time's running out. I grab a dish towel from the kitchen, wrapping it around my wrist and twisting it firmly, grimacing as the skin flushes, a convincing fake injury to support my narrative. I practice my story silently, slipped on a wet studio floor. It's not much, but it should work. The door creaks open, and there stands Jasper, his crutch tapping against the floor as his gaze immediately finds mine. "Talia," he rasps, his voice strained with discomfort. "You made it." He looks exhausted, a white bandage visible beneath his jeans, his hair slick with perspiration. I move toward him, carefully controlling my trembling hands as I reach for his shoulder. "Are you all right?" I inquire, my voice carrying genuine worry. He responds with a slow nod before collapsing onto the couch, which protests under his weight. "Nothing serious, just sprained," he mumbles, but those stares really did a number on me. "Thanks for coming quickly." I swallow nervously, hoping the strawberry fragrance lingering between us is enough. He stirs, inhaling deeply, and my heart nearly stops. His forehead wrinkles momentarily as he cocks his head, as if detecting something beyond my perception. "You smell like you've been hanging out in a candy shop," he comments with a slight smile, though his eyes remain scrutinizing. I force a laugh that sounds too bright and shrug. "Just had an accident with some body spray earlier," I explain, turning toward the kitchen to conceal my expression. "I'll get you some ice." As I fumble with the freezer door, my fingers, feeling lifeless, that haunting hum intensifies in my mind, growing louder, an inescapable whisper. Could he sense it too? Or am I simply crumbling under the weight of my actions? 7 days crawl past, sluggish and cloying like Austin's signature humidity. Yet the atmosphere in our duplex feels more suffocating than ever. Jasper reclines with his healing leg propped on an ottoman, absently strumming his guitar, the melancholic notes piercing the stillness. I've been playing my part meticulously, brewing fresh coffee, delivering ice packs, embodying the devoted wife I'm meant to be. But his lingering glances feel heavy with unspoken questions. Each sigh he releases sounds like an accusation I'm unable to address. That mysterious hum from the Airbnb continues to echo in my thoughts, a persistent phantom I can't dismiss, and I find myself straining to hear it in quiet moments, wondering if it somehow followed me here. This evening, he sets aside his guitar, the strings releasing a discordant twang, and fixes his gaze on me from across the room. His eyes, though weary, hold a penetrating quality, as if he's been fine-tuning more than just music. "Talia," he begins, his voice subdued. "It's been a while since our last check-in. We should talk." A wave of cold dread washes through me. Our check-ins are our sacred ritual, established after a heated argument about a forgotten electric bill 3 years ago. Complete honesty, just us, stripped of pretense. I've cherished these moments before, but now the prospect feels like a blade twisting inside. Of course, I manage, forcing warmth into my smile as I settle beside him on the couch, close enough to feel the warmth radiating through his flannel shirt. He adjusts his position, his crutch balanced against the armrest, and begins carefully. "Something's different with you," he observes, rubbing his jaw thoughtfully. "That night I fell, I tried the landline first, no answer. You said you were home, but it just kept ringing. My throat constricts as I prepare my practice deception. I was wearing headphones, I explain, striving for composure, working on a track, didn't hear it. Had my cell in my pocket, though, caught your mobile call right away." He nods slowly, but his fingers drum against the couch in an anxious rhythm, and I wonder if he can detect my racing pulse through the fabric. "Right," he says, then shifts topic. "The car was warm when I got back, ticking like it had just been parked. What about that?" I swallow hard, the lingering strawberry fragrance from that evening flooding my senses, and lean into my explanation. "Ran to grab some ice cream when you called," I reply, keeping my tone light and casual. "Wanted to make sure you had something cold waiting for you." His mouth twitches, almost forming a smile, but his eyes remain guarded and searching. "You're thoughtful," he remarks, and I struggle to decipher if there's sincerity or suspicion in his words. Then he tilts his head, sampling the air again, and my heart skips erratically. "That leather jacket of yours," he continues, "the one you wore throughout last winter. Where is it? Been meaning to borrow it for a performance." My wrist pulses beneath the towel I've kept wrapped around it, the fabricated sprain serving as my fragile defense, and I flex it, deliberately grimacing. "Misplaced it," I respond, voice strained. "Must have left it behind at the recording studio." He observes me intently, his fingers maintaining their rhythmic tapping, and I feel the space constricting, each wall seeming to inch closer with every breath. A subtle creak emerges from the kitchen, a sound previously unnoticed, like weight settling on an old floorboard. My gaze darts toward it, then back, and I notice Jasper's head turn briefly too, as if catching the same sound. "You certain?" he inquires, his voice dropping lower, and I force out a laugh, brittle and pitched too high, dismissing his concern. "Yeah, you know me, always losing things." I edge closer, placing my hand on his knee, desperately attempting to redirect his attention. "My question now," I say, mustering boldness. "Ever consider straying, Jasper? Anyone else catch your attention?" He releases a short, dry chuckle, shaking his head. "No way, Talia, you're my entire inspiration," he responds, but his hand covers mine with uncomfortable pressure, and I feel the guitar string roughness of his fingertips. I smile, momentarily relieved, but a shiver runs through me as that creak returns, sharper now, emanating from the hallway. Jasper's smile dissolves, his grip intensifying, and he tilts his head again, listening. "Did you hear that?" he asks casually, but his narrowed eyes hold me in place. I force a shrug, my heart pounding. "Just this old house," I reply. "Probably the plumbing." He nods slowly, maintaining his grip, and I wonder if he's detecting something else, something I've buried deep within myself. I wrench my hand away, rising abruptly, and make my way to the kitchen, pretending to need water. My bare feet make hollow sounds against the hardwood, and as I pass the hallway, I notice the shadows seem unnaturally dense, gathering ominously near the closet entrance. The door stands slightly ajar, barely an inch wide, and for a fleeting moment, I catch what appears to be a crimson light flickering once within before disappearing. My breath hitches, but I press forward, a mysterious creak following my steps like a phantom echo. Jasper's voice trails after me, maintaining its steady composure. "You're on edge tonight, babe," he observes, prompting another laugh from me, though weaker this time, as I respond, just exhausted. But while filling my glass, my hands shake uncontrollably, and that familiar hum returns, subtle yet persistent, weaving through the quiet like an ever-present companion. The following day breaks dreary and oppressive, the typical Austin murkiness that seems to wrap around you like wet fabric. I arrive at the studio by 9, bent over the mixing console, attempting to mask last night's unsettling creaks with layers of reverb and deep bass. While Jasper limps through his teaching day at school, I'm here seeking refuge in the familiar comfort of speaker buzz and oscillating audio waves. Yet that mysterious red glow from the closet haunts my thoughts, a tiny seed of fear I can't dismiss. I remain focused on adjusting a percussion track until the door suddenly bursts open, crashing against the wall with a sharp bang that startles me upright. Soren appears, his complexion ghostly white, eyes frantic beneath his weathered baseball cap. He secures the door behind him, the latch echoing in the stagnant atmosphere, before rushing over and gripping my arm before I can rise. "Talia," he whispers urgently, his voice tense and hushed. "We're in trouble." Jasper's figured it all out. My stomach plummets, an icy sensation that leaves me breathless, and I pull away, my chair scraping across the floor. "What do you mean?" I demand, though my voice trembles, revealing my anxiety. He paces restlessly, his boots scuffing the carpet as he roughly runs fingers through his hair. That night at the Airbnb, he explains he showed up at my house afterward. In the dead of night, banging on my door like a madman. I stand frozen, the studio seeming to tilt on its axis as his words penetrate my consciousness. With trembling hands, Soren lifts his shirt, exposing an ugly bruise sprawled across his ribcage, its colors morphing from deep purple to sickly green, bearing the unmistakable imprint of a fist. He grabbed me, Soren's voice cracks, threw me against the wall, threatened to finish me if I didn't stop helping you. My legs weakened beneath me, forcing me to clutch the desk for support, its sharp edges digging painfully into my palms. Jasper? The name escapes my lips in a whisper, more a question to myself than anyone else. I picture his delicate touch on guitar strings, unable to reconcile it with such violence. Soren confirms with a nod, his gaze anxiously darting to the door as if anticipating another violent intrusion. He's not the person you believe him to be, Talia. Soren continues. That vintage microphone we use for demos? He's modified it. Been monitoring everything, our conversations, our strategies. My attention snaps to the corner where the old microphone stands, a weathered piece I've always cherished for its rich sound quality. Now it looms like a sinister guardian, and I detect what appears to be a tiny red light pulsing through its mesh. My throat constricts as I move toward it, my shaking fingers following the cable's path. It winds behind the desk, vanishing into a maze of wiring, but Soren's grip on my wrist halts my investigation. Don't touch it, he warns sharply. He'll detect any tampering. It's linked to his phone somehow, providing live audio. He heard our initial planning session, sensed your distress during his call about the accident. The air grows, suffocating, and I collapse in the chair, my head swimming. Jasper, my Jasper, surveilling the studio like some obsessed spy. I recall his tilted head yesterday, the way he seemed to taste the air, measuring my deceptions like musical intervals. Soren kneels before me, breathing heavily. He's not safe, Talia, he warns. Bragged about fracturing someone's skull in college, during a bar brawl over some woman. The police dismissed it as self-defense, but he smiled while telling it, relishing the memory. I shiver, remembering Jasper drunkenly sharing that story one evening, his eyes cold and distant. I dismissed it then, but now it feels like a knife against my throat. How could you keep this from me? I managed to say, feeling tears burning behind my eyes. Soren's expression hardens as he rises, moving restlessly across the room. He threatened my life, he states bluntly. Made me promise to convince you in person, no digital contact allowed, or I'd face consequences. I did what I could, Talia, kept everything under wraps, but you're still not safe. He moves closer, his voice barely audible. He's monitoring us right now, listening in. The microphone's active. My heart races as I look at it again, its indicator light now invisible, perhaps concealed but still recording. Soren clutches my shoulders, his grip painfully tight. Let this go, he begs. Whatever plan you're forming, abandon it. When he snaps, I won't be his only victim. The studio's ambient hum surrounds us, an eerie, living presence that seems to mock our conversation. I give a numb nod, and Soren releases me, stepping away as his cap casts shadows across his features. Promise me, he insists, and I comply, the words feeling empty as they leave my mouth. Swear it. He moves to exit, pausing at the doorway. Stay invisible, he whispers before disappearing, leaving me facing the microphone's silent, penetrating gaze. I reach toward it, my hand suspended in air, before withdrawing, dread coiling inside me. Somewhere, Jasper listens, and that persistent humming isn't imagined anymore. It's his presence in the white noise, and I'm uncertain how long I can evade his shadow. 14 days pass like molasses, each moment a delicate balance above an unseen abyss. Jasper's resumed his normal patterns, his limp improving, singing scales while marking assignments on our sofa. I maintain my facade, making his favorite tea, offering affectionate pecks, but I shudder whenever his gaze lingers, whenever unexplained sounds echo through the house. Soren's caution echoes endlessly. Jasper's watching, listening, and I find myself fixated on my desk studio microphone, its mesh face a silent observer I dare not approach. Though I'm at my promise to stop, the urge returns, more intense now, haunting me like an unfinished melody. Soren complicates matters. He's hunched at his desk in the studio, cap shadowing his face, weaving stories between sips of mediocre coffee. His voice carries a rasp as he recounts last night's adventure on Rainy Street, where two drummers, Knox and Vaughn, delivered an explosive performance. Best show in months, he declares, and his smile catches me like a barb, pulling at memories of that lakeside evening I've tried to bury. I mumble my resistance, claiming I'm finished, but my restless fingers betray me, tracing the ceramic rim of my cup. He notices this weakness, this fracture in my determination. "You're only fooling yourself," he murmurs before departing, leaving those words to eat at my resolve. The duplex transforms into an echo chamber when Jasper departs for his San Antonio workshop on Friday. 2 days stretch before me, each minute amplified in the emptiness. I wander the living room aimlessly, haunted by the microphone's silhouette from the studio corridor, while Soren's words persist, a tempting whisper. "You've earned this, Talia. Just one more performance." By Saturday, my composure unravels, the quiet becoming deafening, the craving unbearable. I text Jasper a fabricated story about meeting friends, which he accepts with a drowsy, "Enjoy yourself, babe," from his hotel room. My car's already steering toward East Austin, drawn to the neon-lit promise of dive bars. I find myself at a weathered brick establishment off Cesar Chavez, its sign flickering live music nightly into the darkness. The interior swims with smoke and perspiration, beer-scented air pulsing with bass drum beats. Threading through solitary drinkers nursing their whiskeys, I spot them near the bar, Knox and Vaughn, radiating raw intensity. Knox stands compact and solid, his close-cropped head gleaming under the lights, drumsticks holstered like weapons. Vaughn looms taller, lean and tense, cigarette dangling, his hands bearing marks from either brawls or cymbals, possibly both. I catch Knox's attention with a glance, and his grin spreads as he nudges Vaughn. "You spell trouble," he rumbles, and I return a knowing smirk. Perhaps I do. An hour later, we're holed up in a shabby motel just 2 blocks away, a cramped space with flaking paint and a window that shudders against its frame. The mattress dips beneath our weight, its springs protesting as Knox's calloused hands grip my hips with practiced certainty, while Vaughn's fingers weave through my hair, tugging with calculated force until I gasp. It's like being caught in a tempest, wild and thunderous, their movements matching the frantic rhythm of my heartbeat. The room whirls around me, the lamp's amber light stretching into blurred ribbons, and I surrender to the chaos of sensation. They stumble out when the night's nearly done, chuckling about some delayed performance, leaving me exhausted on the damp sheets. I drift into unconsciousness, the motel's electric hum my lullaby, until my phone's dying battery startles me awake at first light. I navigate home through the pre-dawn city, mind clouded, and collapse into my bed, the duplex silence wrapping around me like a shroud. The hours blur between Sunday and Monday, and by midday, I'm in the shower, letting scalding water strip away the night's memories, my skin turning angry red. With Jasper's return looming tonight, I'm practicing composure when the front door crashes open at 3. Soren bursts in, hatless and disheveled, his eyes wild with barely contained terror. "Have you lost your mind?" he shouts, seizing my shoulders, shaking me violently. I went through with it, I confess, my voice too high, too careless. Saturday night, Knox and Vaughn, it was incredible, they destroyed me. The color drains from his face, leaving him ghostly pale as he stumbles, clutching the counter. "You fool," he whispers, his voice cracking, "you've condemned us both." I recoil, my heart thundering. "What?" He pivots slowly, gesturing toward the studio's open door, where the microphone's shadow stretches ominously across the floor. "He heard everything. Talia," he says, "that mic's been live the whole time." My legs buckle, and I lunge for the equipment, yanking the cord free, but Soren restrains me. It's useless now. He hisses he's captured it all. I crumple, the world spinning, and detect that familiar hum, soft but unmistakable, rising from the disconnected microphone like a living entity, an unstoppable pulse in the darkness that I can't extinguish. Soren's grip loosens from my arms as he staggers backward, his breathing labored, eyes darting frantically toward the studio door like it's a predator waiting to strike. The disconnected microphone lies dormant, its cords snaking across the floor, but that persistent hum remains, a deep vibration pulsing through the duplex, wrapping around my vertebrae. I brace myself against the counter, my revelations still echoing in the space between us. Knox and Vaughn destroyed me, words impossible to retract. Soren's expression morphs into pure horror, his words emerging as a raspy whisper. He's approaching. Talia, he breathes. You don't understand. He's always been watching, calculating. I shake my head numbly, but the humming intensifies, transforming into an ominous hiss, like static charged with malevolent purpose. I stumble toward the living room on unsteady legs, snatching my keys from the coffee table, the metal biting into my sweaty palm. We need to leave, I urge, turning to Soren, but he's paralyzed, fixated on the hallway. A shadow rides there, elongated and sharp, creeping from a studio's gaping doorway, and my chest constricts, a scream lodged in my throat. The front door shudders, a methodical, threatening knock, and I whirl around, pulse racing. Jasper shouldn't be home for hours, but another knock follows, more forceful, like someone testing the door's strength. Soren lunges toward me, whispering urgently, "Run now." But before I can react, the hallway light flickers ominously, and an inhuman growl reverberates from the studio, neither organic nor mechanical, but something horrifyingly between. I dive for the door, but it bursts open, hinges screaming in protest, revealing Jasper's imposing figure filling the frame, his crutch absent, his stance unnaturally balanced. His face is flushed with rage, eyes narrowed to dangerous slits, his flannel shirt torn as if he'd fought through obstacles to reach us. He's wielding his baseball bat from the garage, the one reserved for casual games, its surface marred and stained with substances I dare not identify. "You," he growls, voice distorted and guttural, aiming the bat at me. "Couldn't keep your filthy mouth shut." I stumble backward, catching my foot on the rug, as Soren positions himself between us, hands raised defensively. "Jasper, stop," he pleads, but Jasper swings violently, the bat connecting with Soren's shoulder with a devastating crack. Soren collapses, gasping in pain, and I scream, the sound primal and agonized, tearing through my throat. Jasper advances, the bat scraping against the hardwood, carving a path that mirrors the relentless hum, now a deafening roar in my ears. I lurch toward the kitchen, my bare feet losing traction on the cold tiles, and seize a knife from the wooden block, its steel catching the harsh fluorescent glow. "Stay back," I warn, wielding the blade, but his response is a hollow laugh that sends ice through my veins, more terrifying than the weapon he carries. "That pathetic thing won't protect you," he snarls, inching closer, his boots striking the floor with calculated menace. Every disgusting word, "Talia," I heard it all through that microphone, through these walls. He strikes the bat against his palm in a steady rhythm, like a metronome counting my final moments, and I glimpse something fractured in his gaze, a darkness that's been patiently waiting. The back door beckons, a weathered barrier just steps away, and I launch myself toward it, the knife clattering forgotten as I wrench the handle. Jasper's rage erupts in a roar, and the bat whistles through the air, crashing into the refrigerator beside me, warping metal with an impact that vibrates through the room. I tear the door open, letting in a rush of night air heavy with cedar and alley gasoline, and bolt across the gravel, each stone slicing into my unprotected feet. My hastily parked car waits at the curb, and I throw myself inside, fumbling to insert the trembling key. The engine protests, then roars to life, and I accelerate wildly, tires screaming against asphalt, watching Jasper's menacing silhouette diminish in my mirror, bat raised in silent threat. I desperately dial Soren one-handed, knuckles white on the steering wheel. His voice comes through weak, strained. Talia, he wheezes, leave town now, he won't stop. Please wait. I plead through tears that blur the streetlights, and he rasps, Bastrop, 30 minutes. I press the accelerator, city lights bleeding together, that haunting hum still piercing my skull, sharper now, pursuing me. The bat's phantom looms in my thoughts, and I eye the empty seat beside me, half expecting to see it materialized, dripping darkness. Jasper's whisper cuts through my mind like a blade. You're mine, Talia, and I realize I've ignited an inferno that will consume us all. The highway unfolds like an endless obsidian ribbon slicing through the Texas darkness as I push my speedometer past 90, the engine howling in protest. Bastrop looms 30 minutes ahead, a distant sanctuary where Soren waits, but each passing mile feels like a tightening vice. My lifeless phone rests on the passenger seat, its black screen a silent witness, while the rearview mirror mocks me with vacant road, no pursuing headlights, just writhing shadows that dance when I blink. The hum persists, a serrated pulse drilling into my consciousness, growing louder now, intertwining with the wind that whistles through the fractured window. It's Jasper's presence. I'm certain, his voice embedded in the static, a predator's whisper stalking my escape. I catch sight of the turnoff, a gravel path branching from the main road, and wrench the wheel hard, tires spraying stones as I careen into a roadside motel's lot, where neon vacancy signs sputter and threadbare curtains hang askew. Soren's truck sits at an angle near the office, dust still swirling in its wake, and I slam to a stop, stumbling out before the engine falls silent. He's propped against the hood, cigarette ember pulsing between his fingers, shoulder twisted where Jasper's back connected. Made it, he mutters hoarsely, his gaze darting past me into the darkness. I nod, gasping for air, and stagger toward him, loose gravel biting into my raw feet. Is he following? I manage, and Soren flicks his cigarette away, its glow tracing an arc through the night. He remains silent, gesturing toward a room with its door slightly open, light spilling onto the pavement. The room is a den of deteriorating wallpaper and stagnant smoke, a lone bulb swinging overhead. Soren secures the door, wedging a chair beneath the handle, before collapsing onto the bed, grimacing as he touches his bruise. I pace frantically, the hum shredding through my mind, catching glimpses of myself in a splintered mirror, disheveled hair, vacant eyes, a foreign face staring back. He tracked me down before, I whisper shakily, he'll do it again. Soren's expression hardens as he retrieves a wrinkled paper from his pocket, tossing it my way. Found this under my wiper, he explains, after leaving your place. I smooth out the brittle page, reading Jasper's angular scrawl. She's mine, Soren. You're next. My legs give way, and I crumple to the floor, the note drifting down like autumn's last leaf. A deep rumble pierces the ambient noise, drawing nearer, and Soren jerks upright. Headlights sweep across the window in a calculated motion, flooding the room with sickening yellow radiance. My breath hitches as I crawl toward the bed's edge, peering through a narrow gap in the curtains. His Corolla idles there, its dented hood reflecting the motel's neon glow, coming to rest mere yards from our door. The engine dies, plunging us into a thick, oppressive silence, broken only by the protesting creak of the car door. Jasper emerges, baseball bat swinging lazily at his side, his form a dark blot against the night sky. He angles his head, sampling the air, and I swear I see his mouth twist into a cruel smile, a warped line that sends ice through my veins. Soren's grip finds my arm, pulling me back sharply. Time to move, he breathes, shoving me toward the bathroom's cramped confines, where a tiny window offers our only escape. He boosts me up, and I squeeze through, glass scraping my arms raw as I tumble into the back alley. Soren follows, cursing as his shoulder catches the frame, and we bolt, weaving through a labyrinth of dumpsters and metal fencing, that haunting hum pursuing us, an endless vibration resonating in my marrow. Jasper's footfalls echo behind, measured and patient, and I risk one backward glance to see him round the corner, bat tapping rhythmically against his thigh, his gaze boring through the darkness into mine. An hour's desperate flight leads us to a truck stop, where we catch a ride with a weather trucker heading eastward. No explanations needed. Soren remains silent, watching pine trees blur past, while I sink into the seat, the hum finally fading to leave an empty void. Time bleeds together, and now I'm haunting a grimy Houston diner, serving coffee to truckers under a borrowed name. Jasper eventually found me through shared connections, sending divorce papers with his final message tucked inside, his handwriting cold as winter. You made your choice, Talia. Live with the wreckage. The studio terminated me, rumors of the chaos ripping through Austin's music community, and Soren disappeared, a phantom I can't trace. My existence lies in ruins, a scorched record that won't play again, leaving me with nothing but the resonance of my deceptions. Reflecting now, the clarity stings, the price of pursuing an illusion of excitement I convinced myself I needed. I had Jasper, for years of peaceful companionship, midnight music sessions, a sanctuary built on unwavering faith, and I reduced it all to ashes for a momentary rush. The realization carves deep wounds. Never sacrifice genuine connections for temporary thrills, because the aftermath consumes you whole. That resonating sound has vanished. Yet occasionally, while brewing coffee in the solitary hours before dawn, I catch its echo, a gentle murmur rising with the steam, a constant reminder of everything I destroyed. The story reaches its conclusion here. Did this ending meet your expectations, or was it unexpected? Share your thoughts in the comments below. If this tale resonated with you, remember to hit like and subscribe to catch our next storytelling adventure. Thank you for joining us, and we'll meet again in our next narrative.